Hey there! Welcome back to another Brass Eagle Blinds Thirsty Thursday. In this episode, I'm gonna be basically just kind of ranting. Before I get started with any sort of complaining, I want to mention the cigar that I'm going to be smoking during this episode, and that is the Foundation Tabernacle. Don't know if that's going to show up, how close I need to put that. Anyway, this is a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper cigar. It's got Mexican San Andreas and Nicaraguan binder filler. It should be a medium to medium full strength cigar, really rich flavors. So I'm talking some dark chocolate, maybe some espresso in there, but it shouldn't be so strong that it's just gonna punch you like in the mouth. Some earthiness. So this is one of my favorite cigars. I've had quite a few of these. I do know of a place, 898, that you can go downtown Washington. You can pick one of these up pretty much anytime you want. It's rare that we don't have these sitting on the shelf, or that this magical place that I don't remember the name of has these sitting on the shelf. Anyway, it's one of my favorites. Again, Foundation Tabernacle, fantastic stick. So today I'm going to be ranting a little bit about secondary market, the way I see it, how it affects me, the way I feel about it, I guess, not only from a consumer, but maybe a little bit from a bar owner's standpoint, not a ton from that standpoint, but how I think things need to change and how I think distributors and distilleries need to change the way that they're doing things for us as the consumers. But how did we get there? How did we get to where we're at right now?
I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment.
Well, COVID, basically. Now, the whiskey market had been growing before COVID, that's true, but COVID was really like the dam exploded. It had some leaks and water was trickling through, but COVID happened, shutdowns happened, bars and restaurants were closing, people weren't going to work, stimulus checks were rolling in, which I don't remember whatsoever, and I never stopped going to work, so you're welcome, economy. And people were looking for something to do. They had disposable income, they were looking for something to do, and oh my gosh, look at this cool whiskey thing that's happening, and all these cool whiskeys. This is a hobby that I can get into. This is something that I might really enjoy. So a ton of people jumped in right then. And of course, demand increased way faster than supply ever could. There was no way that supply was going to keep up with that sort of thing. And so prices, of course, skyrocketed too. Secondary markets developed, groups that were already a thing saw an influx of members, seemingly nonstop influx of members, people willing to pay 3 to 10 times shelf price for a bottle just to get their hands on said bottle, right? So a really good example of that, and I didn't really say anything about it, but I've got some bottles sitting back there on the table that are kind of good examples of each thing or each topic within this one topic that I'm gonna touch on. But anyway, a good example of this first thing that I'm talking about, where prices went from, wow, that's a lot of money for a bottle of whiskey, to, oh my God, I guess $250 isn't unreasonable for that. And that is Stag. Now, I don't remember when the last Stag Junior was. I want to just guess, and if I'm wrong about this, please correct me. I want to say it was like 2019, maybe. It might have been 2020. I don't really remember. But these things were like $50, maybe $60. And now, of course, shelf price is $80, but that hardly matters. Does have a good nose. This is really good whiskey. And I don't remember which batch this is. This is oh my gosh, 23 something. Oh my God, my eyes are horrible. This is embarrassing. I can't read it. 23B. I don't know if you saw it, but there is maybe a pour left in that. I don't even know if that's a full pour. That's like a half a pour. When this bottle is empty, I do not have a backup. When that bottle is empty, I will not be getting another one. Not until that's in a spot that I feel comfortable with. But you know, back in 2020, 2021, 2, 3, 4 even, I was still okay with where the secondary prices were. I understood it. I expected it. Demand was still incredibly high and supply was not there yet. So I get it. Let me finish this one up before I keep going here. But we're in 2026 now. That boom's over. That's gone. A huge portion of that population that came in to the hobby in that time, they're gone. They're not spending any money. A lot of them that are left, the ones that were just in it as a hobby just to get bottles and then flip them because that was fun to, you know, double, triple, quadruple your money. Oh man, this is a really good time. They are gone. They're not interested anymore. You still have some of those left, but really those aren't the people that are going to drive the market. The market is your enthusiasts. The market is the family of people that actually enjoy whiskey and always have. Now, I'm not sitting here trying to say that there are no people that came in during the boom that are not whiskey enthusiasts. That's not the case at all. It actually introduced a lot of people to whiskey, and not just people that were wanting to sell bottles and flip bottles and do that sort of thing. But whiskey budgets aren't what they were. I know my whiskey budget is, I've cut that probably by 80 to 90%. And so the bottle that I kind of want to touch on during this little part of the overall rant is a bottle that was released in 2025. Ooh, I think so. I think this is a 2025 bottle. I want to say it was. But when it was released to all kinds of hype. And people were, again, selling it secondary when they got their hands on it. And it was always told to everyone, hey, this is going to be a shelfer. Don't go crazy. This is going to be on the shelf. And this is what we need to transition to. Anyway, this is Jack Daniel's single barrel. This is the Heritage barrel. This is the toasted single barrel. Now, again, whenever it was released, people were selling it on secondary, and maybe it's not like it was double or triple its shelf price. It wasn't anything like that. But now that bottle can be had pretty much anywhere you go that has Jack Daniel's single barrels sitting on the shelf. And it's great. I want to say it's like a $50 bottle. Absolutely fantastic. The thing is, the competition for your whiskey budget dollars is so much more fierce now. And I just said I won't be replacing that Stag whenever it runs out. It's good, but I won't replace it because I know I won't find it on the shelf. This one I will replace immediately. Same day it runs out, I might go get another one. I don't know, maybe the next day, but I know I'm going to get another one. So this is kind of why I'm frustrated with the whole secondary market, the whole whiskey market, and a lot of the distributors and a lot of the liquor stores, distilleries, just kind of that whole umbrella. So it seems that all of the large distilleries and even some of the smaller ones, smaller craft ones, are coming out with an LE every week, or a new finished thing, or a new old thing, 20-year, 15-year, a new 18-year, a new crazy rare bottle that you have to get your hands on. Oh, this is a new cast strength of this bottle that was mediocre, and now this is a cast strength version of that shit bottle. You better get it. You better get it. Well, you know what? No.
Nope.
No, I'm not going to. Not going to. A good example of my frustration is something as simple as this E.H. Taylor small batch. What in God's name makes you think that I have the tolerance to hunt even for a day for some of your LEs, your new releases that, again, you seem to be putting out every single week, something new, something that costs $200 to $300, something I have to have. What makes you think I want to search for that when I go out and I can't even find that? I can't find that, can't find Blanton's. Not that I want Blanton's, I don't. I have no desire to have another bottle of that on my shelf. It's for the company when they come over. If you come over to my house, you are more than welcome to drink me out of all my Blanton's. I do not care. Stag, don't care. Weller, any of the Rainbow, don't care. Like, I can't find those bottles. What makes you think that I want to spend any of my money on your special releases or spend any time trying to find them? Forget it. It's not going to do it. I mean, that's ridiculous. This is a good whiskey. Don't get me wrong. But again, this would have really fallen into, I gotta say again, I didn't really mention this before, but this would have fallen into the budget bourbon before. During the boom, during the insanity, if you were to find one of these, and they're $60 or $70 now, and they were $35 or $40 then. If you were to find one of those sitting on the shelf, you'd be like, oh, that's a good budget bottle. That's one of the best $40 bottles you can buy. And I know they're releasing them more, right? But this isn't a nationwide thing. You can't find them everywhere you go. And this is the type of bottle, this E.H. Taylor small batch, that I should be able to walk into Walmart almost anywhere, unless it's a dry county somewhere, and buy one. And you can't. So why the hell am I going to waste any time looking for your specials? It's not. This is good. It is good. It is one of the best small batches that I can kind of think of. Maybe the best. Because everybody has a small batch, right? But what the hell does that mean? It's relative. It doesn't mean anything. Small batch. Small batch for E.H. Taylor. Only 400,000 bottles. The problem with all of it is the fact that I don't think that they really understand, or maybe they just don't care. I don't know. But they don't understand the customers that they need to keep. The customers that they need to keep is guys like me, is guys and gals out there that actually buy the bottles to drink them. Those are the ones that's going to keep this going. And you are every day pushing me away. Listen, I don't need to buy any more bottles. And I think that I'm in the same boat as a lot of people. I have enough bottles here that I could probably go the next 10 years.
And you think that's enough?
And not buy another bottle of whiskey. And I'd be good. I'd finally run out. I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't even after 10 years. So I don't need to buy your whiskey. But if you're going to make it so impossible for me to even find your shelfer stuff, forget it. You're kind of losing me. Another good bottle that I think fits into this really well is your Four Roses LE. Let's not pretend even for a second that these were inexpensive on the shelf. They're not. These are super expensive. Why? That's a good bottle. I really like it. But I'm not going to search for that anymore. And I'm not going to unload my wallet just because it's a limited edition. What's the point? Whiskey isn't an investment. And you're fooling yourself if you think that you're just going to hold on to that bottle that you bought right now. And in 30 years, that's going to be the one that people want. Yeah, maybe it will go up. I don't know. But that's not very good at investing. This is very good whiskey, and I enjoy it every single time I have a pour of it. I'm just not going to search for this stuff anymore. Because the days of buying because of FOMO are gone. You know, during COVID and during all of that, the YouTube influencers, can't speak now for some reason, it really took off, right? I mean, why do you think that this channel started? It looked like fun. But those people with the large followings were coming out with a different video every week. And it was the next best thing. Everything was the next best whiskey. You had to get your hands on it. If you didn't, you weren't going to be able to experience what whiskey was all about, because this is going to change your life whiskey. That's what this whiskey does. Every week it was a new one of those. And for 5 years, 6 years, that seemingly went untouched. Like it was assumed that these were all great bottles. And a lot of them were. A lot of them are very good. But you realize in a span of 6 years, when everybody is telling you that the next release is the next best thing, you know what comes after that?
But wait, there's more!
Another release. So I'm just not going to bother with another release. I'm just going to enjoy the one that I have, or the ones that I have. And then when you come back down to earth, maybe I'll be there, maybe I won't. But here's where I think this all kind of ends. I don't know if ends is the right word for it, but maybe I should say where I think this is headed. And a good example of what I'm going to be talking about is this bottle right here. That's just regular old Buffalo Trace. About 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, something like that, Buffalo Trace finally released seemingly everywhere on the planet. It was being delivered in droves. And I know just locally, one store had a display that, God, I don't even know how many hundreds of bottles that display was deep, but it was 750s and it was 175s. It was everything you could ever want Buffalo Trace. And I'm fairly certain they still have bottles from that shipment that was a year and a half ago. I think they're still holding on to it. They can't run through it because now it's available. I compare it often because, you know, I'm co-owner in a cigar lounge, right? To people wanting Cuban cigars. The only reason you want the Cuban cigar is because you can't have the Cuban cigar. You can't buy the Cuban cigar. And let me add that to all of you, and I hate to do this because I'm sure that you believe that when you were on vacation, that guy that sold you the cigars on the beach or in his little stand where he was also selling hats.
I hope it's not fake.
I'm sure you believe that his brother works in the factory, or he has a pipeline somehow through family members. His brother's uncle's dog's cousin's wife works in the factory and gets those cigars or steals them. But regardless, he's able to get a supply of Cuban cigars and sell them to you lucky Americans that are on the beach that day. I'm sorry. None of the cigars that you smoked were Cubans. None of them. Unless you go to a licensed Ese Habanos shop. And you can look it up. Like, you can just look it up online. Every single licensed shop on the planet, you can find it. You can find it. Unless you're in one of those, you can bet your bottom dollar it is not a Cuban cigar. I don't care what story you've heard. I don't care what the person told you. It's not. Anyway, I'm going off on this tangent. But I'm just trying to tell you that the only reason you really want that Cuban cigar is because of clout and because you can't have it. But the second that they opened up Cuban cigars to the United States, and then you started buying some and paying the absolute premium that you have to actually buy a Cuban cigar, in 2 seconds you would be like, oh, I don't want a Cuban cigar.
I do not like this.
I'm never doing that again. I'm never doing that again. That's like the Four Roses LE I just had. You'd be like, that's good, but holy shit, did I just spend $250 on that? Oh my goodness. Exactly the same thing. So this Buffalo Trace, when it hit the floor, now nobody wants it. It's a great whiskey. I always will have this on my shelf. Incredible starter pour. Great starter pour. Incredible cocktail maker. It's great. It's great. And that's what it should be used for. And it should always be readily available. But holy moly, that kind of brings me to my next point. Oh, let me finish this whiskey first. So unfortunately, I think this is where we might be headed, and only time will tell. And I hope this video honestly doesn't age well. I hope I'm proven wrong on all this stuff, and it's like, Doug, you were an idiot. Like, all of your concerns were completely unfounded. That's what I hope happens, but I don't expect it. I think a good example of what I'm about to mention is this New Riff 8-year. This is a good bottle. I like it. I have had quite a few New Riffs. They're really good whiskeys. There's a place for them. They keep getting better. They keep coming out with new releases, right? But they aren't releases that I can't get my hands on. And they aren't something that's so expensive that I'm like, oh man, I really hate to spend that much money and then be disappointed with it. But I mentioned that Buffalo Trace a second ago, and we all know that shelf space is finite and it's very coveted, right? Well, when that shipment of Buffalo Trace at a particular liquor store that's very near where I live, when that shipment a year and a half ago or whatever it was, 2 years ago, came in, it's all you could see when you walked in the store. It was a display that took up a good 10-foot section at least, and it was 4 foot deep. It was so many bottles of Buffalo Trace. Yeah, it boggled my mind. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how they're going to sell all that, because I can't buy all of it. And I'm one of the best customers here. They still have bottles of that, I guarantee it. What happens with shelf space? You start losing bottles like this New Riff. I don't know, maybe you don't lose it. Maybe you don't lose it, but that Weller, that E.H. Taylor, that Stag, that Blends, those are all going to demand premium shelf space that's right now being taken up by bottles like that, bottles that you can actually get your hands on that are worth it. Well, those are going to be relegated to the same shelf, if they get shelf space at all, as Colonel Lee. It's going to be bottom shelf stuff. This isn't bottom shelf whiskey, but that's where whiskey goes to die, and that's where that's going to have to go, because there's going to be too much whiskey to buy. So what happens then? Do these places survive? I don't know. I sure as hell hope so. I would rather see the larger distilleries just kind of adjust. We don't need 17 cases of special release. We don't need 10 cases of Weller 107 at every single store. But give us bits and pieces of all of that stuff everywhere. I hate to destroy like the secondary market, but I don't think there should be a secondary market for those things anymore. Forget that. Secondary should be limited, and we should all think this and stop using secondary for 107, for Stag. Use it for limiteds. Use it for something special that's coming out. And if you want it, fine, go to secondary. But gosh, what's going to happen with a lot of these awesome distilleries that just don't have shelf space anymore, or the distributors don't want to push their product anymore because Weller came in or Buffalo Trace came in and they're like, hey, listen, we need you to sell 200 cases of this stuff next week. Oh, all of your other things, I don't really give a shit. You're going to sell this. That's what that's what scares me. I guess at the end of the day, what I really want to see happen is I don't want to see any more pictures on Facebook of someone seeing their latest score at a liquor store and it being Stag, or it being a Weller 107, or it being a Blends, or it being an E.H. Taylor small batch, or even an E.H. Taylor single barrel. I don't want to see these anymore. Not because I'm tired of the pictures. I'm glad for a lot of these people that they finally were able to go into the store and grab a bottle of this. But we shouldn't be in a situation anymore where this is picture worthy.
Hey, Wayne, what's with the pictures? It's a parking lot.
That's what I want us to get to. I want the distributors and the distilleries to understand that those aren't picture-worthy bottles. And maybe they do understand it, but I need us to understand it. And I need them to release enough of that whiskey, not too much, not blow New Riff out of the water quantities, but enough of that whiskey that I don't need to take a picture of that last Stag bottle that I just got. I don't need to do that. And that all said, I still understand why the distilleries aren't upset necessarily with the secondary market, because the secondary market and the prices of those bottles is propping up bottles from distilleries that are mediocre. They're mediocre bottles and they're selling for astronomical amounts. And of course, distilleries are going to like that because they're like, oh, there's still a demand for our mediocrity. Still a demand for it. It's fantastic. Elmer T. Lee, don't get me started. It's fine. Why the hell is anybody paying over $40 a bottle for that? I'm sorry. Stop it. It's not necessary. It's dumb. And I honestly can't really say who's buying all of these bottles on secondary anymore. I mean, I know I don't speak for everybody in the whiskey community, right? But I haven't gone to secondary for a regular type bottle in 2 years. And if I couldn't get it on the shelf, I just don't get it. Who's buying these bottles? I don't know. There's so many things in this whiskey industry that I can't explain, and I'm not smart enough to.
That's so true.
But it just feels to me that the distilleries and the distributors are still making decisions like it's 2021, and it's just not anymore. So hopefully we end up in a place where, you know, all of those bottles I'm talking about, like, this is wishful thinking, of course, but all those bottles that I was talking about end up on the shelf. Things like New Riff don't get pushed to, you know, the bottom shelf or pushed into the corner. And the limited editions, the special releases, those sorts of things are still released in a fairly even manner around the United States. And if you have the money and if you have the desire, you can go to your local liquor store or your local place and spend that money to pick it up. A lot of those bottles are going to be more expensive and a lot of people are going to pass on them, but it should be available there. You know, I don't want to make this too long, but yeah, I always go back to things like Old Fitz and any of the decanter series. I understand that they don't come out with a ton of that, but at the same time, if I have the money to spend, if I'm going to spend that kind of money on a 10-year, a 9-year, a 13, a 15, if I'm going to shell out that kind of dough for any of those, again, in my opinion, kind of mediocre whiskeys, then I shouldn't have to jump through hoops to do it. And I think if this takes too long for the distilleries and the distributors to kind of match this mindset, that they're just going to lose a ton of customers because the hype's gone, the FOMO's gone, And a lot of the love and the excitement is gone. So adjust. That's all I'm asking. That's it. Pretty simple. Oh, but I do want to mention, you know what? Like, screw all of them. No matter where you live, I guarantee you've got some sort of local distillery. Just go there. Just go there. I bet the whiskey is just as good, if not better, than a lot of the stuff that you're having to go to secondary for right now. And you probably get to meet the master distiller. You might get to meet the owner, maybe hang out with them for a while. Maybe they'll be able to tell you some stories. That's way more fun. That's way more fun than paying twice the shelf price for a stag. I don't know. I'm pretty stupid sometimes. But I think, I just wanted to get my opinion out there a little bit and maybe influence the little influence that I have. I know that 252 subscribers doesn't influence really anything. And most of you just most likely watch me, so you have the ammo to make fun of me with. I get it. It's fine. Whatever. But maybe you'll share my opinion, and we can help to start to change how the whiskey allocations and everything on the shelf goes. So anyway, stay tuned for the next episode of Thirsty Thursday. I don't know when that's going to come out, but we are going to come out with some other special guest episodes coming real soon. So anyway, thanks for watching.